Hello my lovelies, welcome to my channel Lifeforce Unlimited. My name is Amanda and I'm a natural psychic medium and a visionary. And I tune into the collective energies of each individual sign of the zodiac, and I receive a vision which I then share with you. Also, as an inspirational artist, I share one of my pieces with you each month, and this one is for July and it's called Into the Blue. And in my artwork, when I receive a commission, you choose your own 3 favourite colours, which are then combined with sacred water from Glastonbury Chalice Well, and also sacred ash, which is known as Vibhuti. So this is a little pot of the sacred ash, and I've had this for probably more than 35 years, and in the use of it, it has never ever diminished. Now this ash was manufactured in the hands of an Indian avatar called Sai Baba, and all he did was rub his fingers together and this ash would appear. You can place it under your tongue, and it tastes like Parma violets and it has an extraordinary healing energy to it. This pot I received when I went to visit a psychic surgeon, and in his waiting room he had a full-length photograph of Sai Baba, must have been more than 6 foot long, and it was laminated. And at the end of each surgery, at the end of each day, he would take a brush and a little pot, because on the laminated surface of the photo the ash had appeared. So he'd just gently brush it off and put it in a little pot, and the same thing would happen the next evening. The ash would just continue to appear there. So this is what I add to the paint with the sacred water as well, and my intention being that whoever views my work will receive a healing blast of energy. So when I receive a commission, that the colours that are chosen, your 3 favourite colours, will denote certain aspects of healing energies that you may need in your life. So the colours of the spectrum are associated with the organs in our bodies, the emotions that we all experience, and various other situations in our lives. So the ones that you choose, maybe on a subconscious level, you're asking for healing in those areas. So the artwork isn't just for the person who commissions it. Anyone who views it will receive a healing energy on certain levels of situations in their lives. So that's how I work. I'm going to share messages for each and all of the signs for July, and this energy of this painting is a part of that message. Hello my lovelies, well here are the Ascension Oracle Messages for July for the sign of Scorpio. Hope you're all doing well. There's I've tuned into your energies and I've received a vision for you. I know that some of my viewers are in other countries other than the UK where I'm based, so part of the vision is an old black and white program from probably the 1960s that we had here. So if you've never heard of it, hopefully the next part of the vision will make sense to you. So it seems for this month of July, for all of the signs, I've been given bits of old movies, old TV programs and songs. So sort of a mishmash of things, but usually when we teach, it's through parables, through stories, through fairy tales, and it's easy for people to hear the message when they are familiar with the stories. So anyway, the first part of this vision was an old BBC black and white program called Steptoe and Son, and it was a father and son, Albert Steptoe and his son, who were what we call rag and bone men, and they had a grotty little old yard and a house in which they had all sorts of old bits of tat, furniture, bric-a-brac, knickknacks, and traditionally the rag and bone man would take a pony and trap around the streets and yell out to the people who lived there, asking if they had any rag or bones. So the rags would be old clothes. So those who had a little bit of money and didn't need certain clothes anymore, they would hand them over to the rag and bone man. The bones, well, that's a slightly different story. They could be used and boiled down to make glue, which is what happened to some of the horses at the time, what was left of them. So Albert and his dad had this old horse and an old trap, and as I say, they'd go from street to street yelling out to the locals and take this stuff away and sort through it and hopefully sell it on. Now the name of the horse was actually Hercules, which is an interesting part of the story, which we'll come back to in a minute. Now, the father and the son had this relationship whereby they loathed each other, but they were stuck with each other, and there was always some sort of upset or argument going on, and young Albert, he never got the ladies. He was always disappointed in love. They were both very scruffy, father and son. The father had no teeth, or sort of false teeth, and the son was not the best painting in the gallery. So it was a very cleverly put together program, because there was pathos in it. Yes, it was sort of comedy, but and it being black and white, and in hindsight looking at it now, it seemed to be a black and white existence for them. It was grey. There was they couldn't see beyond the situation they were in at the time. And actually both the actors in it, they portrayed rough and ready sort of Cockney people, but in real life they were both extremely well spoken and extremely well educated, and even sort of in Shakespeare's company. So the second part of the vision, we are completely different, and it's an American program which is on now, sort of up to date, and it's called Pawn Kings, not P-O-R-N but P-A-W-N. And again, it's a family. There's an old dad, and there's his son, and then his grandsons, and they run a pawn shop somewhere in Los Angeles, I think, in America. And it's just interesting. I was shown both programs, father and son running a business, and so totally different, years and years and years apart. And the dad in the American one, he always seems to be asleep in the back office, snoozing or something. And he's well into his 70s now, I think. And his son is running the show. And his son and various others are... it's a huge shop, and it's open 24 hours a day. People can come and bring stuff to pawn, and others come to buy some of the stuff that's for sale there. And they must do extremely well. They really must. So I'm asking, well, why am I showing these two very different family businesses, and a lot of it has to do with the cycles of energies in our lives at present. The planet that rules your sign, Scorpio, is called Pluto, and Pluto's cycle is 240 years. So for it to do a circuit around the sun takes 240 years, which means it will spend 20 years in each sign. Now at present, Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn, and there will be an enormous event in the heavens in January of next year where Pluto meets up with, or is conjunct as it's termed, with the planet Saturn to an exact degree. So with Pluto visiting each sign for 20 odd years, what I was shown with the two different family businesses is for you, the viewer, to maybe go back 20, 40, 60, even 80 years beyond if you want to, and look at what was occurring in your lives. So yes, some of you might not be that old, but some of you might be able to go back 20 years. Some of you might be able to go 40 years. If you can't go back yourself 60 years, then look at the family history, family traditions 60 years ago, 80 years ago, and see what was going on around you then. So, as I say, I think the steptoe and sun was at least 50 years ago. I remember it as a very young child. So looking at how things have gone from black and white and that sort of poverty consciousness of those two characters, and jumping to present day, they are brag and bone men, but you know, they call them pawn brokers now. But pawn brokers have been, you know, with us forever. And the word pawn, P-A-W-N, can have various different connotations. A pawnbroker will be somebody who lends money against a certain object. In chess, a pawn is a piece that is moved. And sometimes we can become other people's pawns. We can be manipulated and controlled by others. And also the energy of the sort of American version of these rag and bone men shows how things have changed dramatically. So from people living in the UK at that time, probably in the 1960s, of how they felt restricted by life, made the best of what they could. Now it would be charity shops, you know, us taking our stuff to charity shops to recycle, rather than someone coming round in a pony and trap. But the guys in the American version, it is so way beyond what the British version could possibly have thought of. So how this relates to you in your life at present is, yes, looking back over those 20-year periods, and also we are in Mercury retrograde at the moment, which means taking a peek at old scenarios, old family history, etc., etc. How parts of that can benefit us now, how we can also acknowledge those bits that we've continued to carry with us, which are just the old black and white version and don't serve us anymore, it's like still having a video recorder sitting underneath your TV, but you never use it because we don't use those VHS tapes anymore. So why would you still have it there? So what we need to clear away and get rid of. I'm also feeling that the theme running between the two of them with regard to the sun being unlucky in love, and I think that the sun in the American version might be on wife number 3. It's looking at within your lives how you deal with how you view love in your life, how you view relationships, how you what it is you put up with, what it is you feel you are worthy of. So it's being able to move beyond the old version of that, and how maybe other people might have labelled you. Oh, they're always unlucky in love, you know. Never found the right one. No. There's something about them, you know. They just can't seem to bring the right one in. That is somebody else's projection, somebody else's version or vision of you. So how you can delete that now? Don't carry that. Again, it's like the VHS thingy. Why would you keep wanting to play that old tape? It doesn't work anymore. So this reset button, this new you, this new version of you, and as you've got this huge alliance of energies coming in January for the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, it's not about waiting till then, because we're already feeling it now. We're already, and not just Scorpios, but all of us are feeling this, right, they're saying it's crunch time. It's the breaking down of old, the old guard, the old, stagnant, stale, cobwebby. They're showing me like in the corridors of power, all that panelled corridors, all that deep, dark, stained oak and musty old unwashed bodies. They're not taking care of things, just allowing things to be like the old rag and bone stuff that's that has no value, that has no worth. Why would you want to take that on board with you? It's about bringing in things that are pristine, that are new. So within the Pawn Kings program, the American one, these guys, as I say, they're open 24 hours a day. They will have people coming in wanting to pawn objects and or sell them. Sometimes when they want to sell them, they're not given the price that they'd like to have. And sometimes they walk away and say, no, I'm not prepared to sell it. I want more for it than that. And those who wish to pawn an object with the idea that they will come back within a certain period of time and reclaim it, thereby handing over the money that they borrowed. So we're talking about a time scale here, or a deadline for you. So, not that I've done it myself, but I believe that when you go to a pawn shop and you want to pawn something, you're given a ticket, and depending on how much money you've been given, that ticket will be for a specific period. After which time, if you haven't gone back, then the pawnbrokers can sell on whatever it is you've pawned. So this pawn ticket can be for a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, or for however long perhaps you agree individually. So my sense of this is something that you have valued, something that you have put a price on, you may have handed over to somebody else. So it's not necessarily a material object. It can be a part of you, I feel. So it could be you've given your heart to someone. It could be that you've given your time, your effort to somebody for a certain period of time for which you've been paid. But that time is almost up. So the time is coming for you to either reclaim what it is you've given away, or to allow what you've given away to be sold on. And I feel that this, for some of you, may be a realization that what you've given away, you don't want to reclaim. So even though you may have been paid for it in whatever shape or form, you can walk away from now and say, right, I've let that go. There has been an exchange of energies, but I'm going to let that go. And during this Mercury retrograde period, taking a step back and saying, well, do I want that back? Do I want to reclaim it, whatever it is? Do I really want to go back and reclaim that? I've actually done without it for quite a long time. Is it of value to me? Is it worth me making the effort to hand over something to get that back? And it feels like the deadline, or the time expiry, is as we reach this conjunction in January. So there's like a 6-month period around you. Not necessarily humming and hawing, but taking that step back and really looking at what is valuable to you. Also within the vision, it seems, I see you as the pawnbroker. I also see you as somebody pawning something. So we're all aspects of these different characters. And within this sort of deadline, I have the sense that you are going to unearth a treasure. So something that has more value than you could possibly imagine. And it isn't necessarily, as I say, a material object. Because sometimes when people take something to a pawnbroker, they think it might be worth 100 quid, $100. And then the pawnbroker says, well, hang on, I've got an expert I want to call because I'm not too sure about this and I'd like his opinion on it. And you say, oh, okay, all right. A bit like the Antiques Roadshow, you know, that sort of thing. So you'd be happy to get, 100 quid for it. So then they get their expert along and they have a good old, get it, where's my hagstone? There we are. All right, have a good old look. I said, ooh, actually, that's a 17th century blah-de-blah-de-blah, and it's worth millions and squillions on you. Oh my goodness. I've kept my umbrellas in it by the front door, that Ming vase. Do you remember that one? And something that you have had in your life that you haven't seen the value of, suddenly an expert, whoever that expert might be, whether you literally take that something to somebody for an appraisal, or somebody shows up in your life and says, do you know that it's worth blah-de-blah-de-blah? And as I say, not necessarily a physical a material object. It could be a person. So you might have had someone in your life for a very long time and you've never really seen them before. You've never recognized them. You've never seen the value of them. You've never seen their worth before. This can also be a mirror. You not valuing yourself or seeing your self-worth before. So somebody coming in and saying, do you know, you're absolutely amazing. You really are extraordinary. I've never come across anybody quite extraordinary as you. So there are many levels, many layers to this. I feel it's about recognition and reward for you. And maybe for some of you, you've had to give something away for that recognition and reward to arrive. Sometimes it's about generosity or act of random kindness. They're doing something for somebody else, and you just don't even think about it, you just do it, not for any reward. But it comes back through another door, and it could be like 20 years later, 40 years later, 60 years later, because as all of the planets go in cycles, things come back to visit us that you've completely forgotten about. And because you're that much older, you suddenly see it in a new light. It feels like for some of you, you're going to have your socks shocked off. If somebody's going to enter your life, and or a situation is going to enter your life, and you're going to see it in a totally different light. It's not being a pawn anymore, not allowing anyone to shove you around or put you in a position where you do not wish to be. Right, they're talking about the golden ticket. So whatever this ticket might mean to you, whether it is a physical pawn ticket, lottery ticket, or whatever, it's flashing at you and saying, time's up. All right, time's up. You reach the deadline, something is bound to appear. So welcome this Mercury retrograde energy. Some people curse it and say, oh, no, not again. But it actually is benevolent this time round, because it would be bringing stuff from the past for you to have a look at in a very different light. You couldn't have seen it before. You know? Like with some of these treasures that are literally unearthed, they're caked in earth or verdigris, or when silver goes black because of the oxidization. Only when things are polished up, you see them for what they truly are. Right, and I'm hearing a song, and I think it's possibly from the First World War. Ones my grandmother used to sing to me. Look for the silver lining. There's a few months back you might have seen this but not noticed it, or this person seen them, not noticed them, but suddenly there's this, ooh, wow, there's a makeover, there's a revelation, there's something wants to be unearthed. And also the feeling of how you have discarded old ways of being, old habits, it's like getting rid of old clothes, you know, old rags. And once you've discarded those things, you will notice that people, situations around you are doing the same thing. And so then, boom, somebody or something shows up in front of you. As I say, it could be yourself, shows up in front of you. And you say, wow, I never saw that about myself. I never realised that about myself. Wow, I can do something with this. I can take this somewhere. And once you recognise and acknowledge that within yourself, other people will see it. You might have someone knocking on the door and say, hey, you know that old painting you had in your shed? Can I have another look at it? What, that old thing? Yeah. And you look at just the frame. Whoa, blimey! That is worth an absolute fortune. So as I say, it can come in lots of different layers, lots of different levels. It could be just one thing, it could be more than one thing, but whatever it is, it's going to turn your world around in the positive. So I hope that's been of some help to you, my lovelies. Do leave me a comment. I'd love to know how you react to my weird and wonderful way of sharing the messages with you. If you'd like to have a private session with me, or would you like to know about my artwork, you can commission a piece for yourself or as a gift for a loved one. All the details are in the box below. So I love you and leave you. Till next time. Bye.